Guys, hope everyone's doing well. So I just wanted to do a little video on pretty much the worst thing you can do during a tournament. And this one hits kind of close to home because I recently was doing a tournament and we had some students that they didn't make their weight. So they didn't weigh in, or they did weigh in but they were overweight. So this is pretty much the worst thing you can do for a tournament, because you didn't lose to anyone. You never even had a chance to fight. You pretty much you lost the battle to the scale. So this is probably the worst thing you can do as a competitor in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because if you don't make weight, if you don't make your weight class, that's it for you. You get disqualified, you don't fight, and that means that all the hard work that you did in training, all the dieting or supposed dieting, all the training, all the conditioning, all the studying, all the drilling, like all that work kind of goes out the window when you don't get to you don't get to compete pretty much. So I had a few students that they didn't make weight, and so man, it just is very just sucky situation, as far as just being an instructor and having preparing all these guys, and man, they're ready to go. You've done everything. I've done everything in my power to help them get ready. And then when it comes time to compete, it's game day. They can't compete because they didn't make weight. And this is something that I stress in a lot of my videos and in my classes, is that if you're going to compete, you need to make sure that you make your weight the night before. You you have to make weight the night before. That way, when you go and compete the next day, like, you're not worried about the weight anymore. You know you're good. You can go in confident that whatever happens on the mat, okay, it's gonna happen. But when you step on that scale, you're gonna make that weight. So that's something I always stress. I always stress. I tell guys, weeks in advance, months in advance to get ready. Hey, make sure your weight's good. What's your weight? How's your weight? And so I had, a few guys that just, man, they just left it to the last second. They thought, hey, they could cut like 2 kilos in, like under an hour. Man, it takes time to cut weight, because, especially water weight, because, your body doesn't want to lose that water. It wants to hold that water. It wants to retain that water, especially before like a strenuous activity like a competition. So if you can, you have to diet properly to get yourself in the right condition, so that you're strong and that you have the energy reserves to compete. And you should only you should only cut water weight if as a last resort in jiu-jitsu, because when we weigh in, um, we normally weigh in right before we compete, before we step on the mat. So man, if you cut all this water before a tournament, you're gonna feel weak. You're gonna feel dehydrated. You're not gonna have time to rehydrate from the time of weighing in until you're called to go. So man, you have to diet. You have to plan ahead. You have to know what your weight is. You have to know that you can make that weight. If you're, say you're like a young kid, man, you're growing, man, maybe you need to go up a weight class. Or hey, you just know you're not losing weight, you know, um, either go up a weight class, or talk to someone that is really, they can help you. Someone that's skilled. Talk to someone that's skilled, and they can help you figure out a way to make that weight cut. So that's pretty much the worst thing I think you can do as a competitor. Throughout my whole career competing, I've always made my weight class. Even if it killed me to make it. Even if I was like, man, I'm not gonna make it. I always made it. I always knew that, hey, I have to go out there and I have to do this, because especially for like the bigger tournaments where you're investing like a lot of time, a lot of money and effort to get out there, man, you can't go out, you can't not compete. You just can't. You can't lose to the weight, lose to the scale. It's just unacceptable. So yeah, man, this kind of pisses me off. When you have athletes, you're preparing athletes to go out there and do well, and you know they can do well, but man, they lose the battle before it even starts. So that kind of that pisses me off, both as an instructor and as a competitor, because as part of being professional, you have to make the weight that you signed up for. If you cannot make the weight that you signed up for, you need to reevaluate, either your diet or just the weight class that you're competing in. So I just wanted to do a little video, guys. This is the topic that hits home for a lot of competitors because making weight is a part of just competing. So if you guys like this video, please give it a like. Otherwise, till next time. Ciao.